Hello and welcome to the Wrestle Ramble, the podcast that discusses professional wrestling. I am your host, Angelus Walker, better known as Cyber Angelus X over on YouTube, but you can call me AJ for short. Now, this episode here today, it's been we got a couple things that we're gonna roll through, but one of the things I want to touch base on is kind of a year in review, and man, what a year it has been. Now I know it's been a little bit since the last episode. The last episode actually, I'm pretty sure, was our anniversary show back on October 4th. And that was really just a quick, I almost said video, a quick little sit down that I had. I just wanted to get something out that day because that day and just everything leading up to it had just been hectic. But I wanted to get something out for the anniversary show. And so, because it was a little bit of a more rushed podcast episode, I really want to take my time and put a little bit more effort and have a little bit more intention with not only this episode, but all of the episodes going forward. And so, really, I'm gonna before I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do with the pod, but I'm kind of changing it up a little bit, throwing some new ideas out here and there, and just seeing how I really like everything whenever I work it all together and get it exactly the way I want to get it. But that's one of those things that takes time. You know, I'm gonna slowly but surely figure it out. And despite it being 2 years on since I started the podcast, it doesn't feel like it. My God, what happened to the last 2 years? But also, this is just one of those things that I feel like over the course of time, I'm going to fine tune here and there. And so, bear with me. But that's a whole other thing. I actually had the idea of maybe potentially working in a video series or something like that. Just whenever I'm on my way to the shows, maybe have like a vlog or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still toying around with these ideas. But the topics for today's episode, we have a few, actually. First and foremost, I want to talk about a few of the shows that I've worked, actually, in between the last episode. So, I actually worked 2 DCW shows, and I worked WrestleCade for AML. So, the first DCW show I worked was Clash at the Crypt, and that was actually a couple of days after I recorded that last podcast episode. And that was an absolutely fantastic show. And that show is actually posted in its entirety on the DCW YouTube channel. So check that out if you guys have not already. DCW does upload a lot of matches and clips to their YouTube channel. So definitely check them out. And we'll actually be having another event here next month, and I'll touch base here on that in just a second. But worked Clash at the Crypt, that's available on YouTube, as I said. And the second DCW show that I worked was actually a little bit more recent. It was last weekend as of recording this, actually, because I'm recording this on Sunday, the 21st. So December 13th, I believe that was the date for that. It was DCW Christmas Crash Out at the Asylum, the training center over in Raleigh. And that was a fun show as well. Absolutely always love working the DCW shows. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to have the ability to work at DCW. So that was so much fun. I got to meet Austin Aries, and just meeting Austin Aries was like right in front of my face. It was crazy. And I've told my wife, actually, it's crazy, and I didn't even really think about it until after Christmas Crash Out. But I've recorded a good amount of matches for TNA wrestlers, and I'm kind of proud of that. Savannah Evans was also there. Speaking of TNA, and just the show was great overall. Hopefully, I don't think DCW has put any matches up yet, so hopefully they'll have those posted here soon. So once those get posted, I'll probably put a post out on social media or something, or repost it. So just be on the lookout for that. And the AML show that I worked, as I mentioned, was WrestleCade, and so it was my first time working WrestleCade. I was really nervous, not gonna lie. And the main event for that one, on the night that I worked, because it was a 2-night event. Well, it was a 3-night event, I'm pretty sure, in total, but Saturday and Sunday had the actual wrestling shows, I'm pretty sure. But I worked the Sunday show, and so the main event for that one, it was a casket match. George South versus the bad boy Joey Janela in a casket match, man. A casket match. Holy shit. Not only was it a casket match, there was barbed wire involved. Okay? Now, I had never been involved with barbed wire, right? And so, in my little feeble mind, I'm thinking, maybe the barbed wire is gigged or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's safe barbed wire, question mark. I don't know how you make barbed wire safe, but maybe it's safe. No, it's not safe at all. None of it was safe. So at one point, a piece actually, because it was just, the what are they even called? Bundles? Just like a teeny tiny bundle of barbed wire. For one, there were bundles. Let's just roll with that. There were bundled that was just wrapped around the ring ropes. And so it was a couple of them, like one on each side. And so the one on my side had fallen off the rope. And so it had fallen off, and at one point, guess who accidentally stepped perfectly in it? Little old me. So I accidentally step into this barbed wire, and it's just on me. I am one with the barbed wire now. I shit you not. I literally had to take a moment and kind of set the camera down for a second and kind of just finagle it off. And I'm just like, help, I need an adult. So that was fun. That was a fun interaction. But man, it was great working WrestleCade. And I also got to help out and work another show that went on right before that. It was Ladies Night Out, I believe that was the name of it. And so that was a great show as well. And the main event for that one was actually Priscilla Kelly versus Shotzi Blackheart. That was a fun match. Definitely recommend that as well. If you guys haven't seen that, give that a look. But overall, it was a great experience. We pretty much have all of our dates solidified for both companies. And so, man, 2026 is going to be a packed, fun year. And this year is just, it flew by, man, especially once I started working AML, which I will always be eternally grateful to Daniel for helping me out and getting me work there. And so thank you to Daniel for that. And just, man, AML has been crazy. It's been a wonderful experience. DCW has been a crazy, wonderful experience, and I'm absolutely having so much fun and looking forward to working with both companies here in the coming year. And if you guys want to keep up to date with everything that is DCW and AML, just AML, where am I from? Oh no, the country's kind of coming out. AML. Let's try that again. AML. Jesus, easy for me to say. If you guys want to keep up to date with both of those companies, just keep up to date on social media. Whew. Man, 2026 is going to be fun. Really looking forward to that. Next topic I want to touch base on is actually a documentary that I watched while I was at work. Watched, listened to, just okay, I paid attention to it for the most part. Yes, I was working. Yes, I can multitask for the most part. But I actually did go back and rewatch it again. So, the documentary that I am referencing is The Triumph and Tragedy of WCCW. And this was my first time seeing this documentary. And I knew of WCCW. I've never seen a full show or a full episode. That is my next thing that I actually want to watch. And it's because of this documentary. And wow, this was really interesting. I just hit my desk. Ouch. This was a really interesting documentary. Learning about Fritz von Erich and just who he was prior to having the Fritz character, the von Erich family in general, because I had heard prior to this, I had seen the episode for them on Dark Side of the Ring. Me and my wife actually watched that. But prior to that, I had heard of the Von Erich name. I wasn't entirely too familiar with it. And so I learned a lot from that Dark Side of the Ring documentary. And now also learning a little bit more from this. Man, the Von Erich family, whoo, that is a whirlwind, man. And oh man, brother's words. Oh man, was it Kevin Von Erich? I believe it was. That poor man. I am so sorry, sir. Like the heartache of just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy like that. After a while, I was like, damn. Are they going to get a break? Are they good? Did they accidentally load life on hard mode? Like, what happened? Everything was going so well, and, well, everything was going good until it wasn't. And then they had the first accident with the baby getting electrocuted, and then it was, they were riding high for a little bit, and then things started to go downhill with David, I think it was at first. Whew, man, that was kind of hard to watch a little bit, not gonna lie. But the in-ring stuff of the Von Erichs, woo, real good, real good. I'm definitely gonna watch some stuff of theirs, as well as just more of WCCW in general. And I think I was able to find a couple of shows on YouTube actually. And so one rivalry that I do want to go back and see is actually the Freebirds versus the Von Erich rivalry. And so that's going to be a real fun time to watch and talk about, because this is really my first time thoroughly sitting down and watching not only the Von Erichs, but WCCW. And so I'm definitely interested to study, for one, how wrestling was at the time, but also kind of just study some of the techniques from WCCW and see if maybe I can kind of implement them in the way that I shoot whenever I'm recording at DCW or AML. And so I think that'll be really cool, and that'll be really helpful, especially studying something like WCCW, which they were, I don't know if I want to say that they were the first, but I feel like they pioneered, at least the way the documentary phrased all this. I feel like they pioneered a lot of stuff that we still use even in modern wrestling today. And just like they were the first to, or at least one of the first to do outside the ring stuff, like personality and feature videos. And I think they also mentioned that they were one of the first companies to really start using younger guys. And with talking about some of these younger guys, I've never heard of any of these guys before. And so I think it'll also be real fun to find the tapes for some of these older wrestlers that I'm not entirely familiar with. And whenever I'm able to do the in-ring stuff, maybe I can take a little bit here, a little bit there, and make it my own and turn it into my own style. But yeah, some of those guys like Bill Irwin or Iceman King Parsons, Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, Chris Adams, Gino Hernandez, which I also watched the Dark Side of the Ring episode for him not too long ago as well. That was a really interesting episode. Damn, Gino, he could have been. He had star power. He could have been. That's just the best way that I could put that. Like, he had so much star power. Like, I could almost see someone like Ricky Starks taking a little bit of inspiration from Gino Hernandez. So, watching some of these documentaries and coming across some of these, just like from the WWE Vault YouTube channel, it's made me want to watch a few others. I do have the Beyond the Mat documentary on DVD, so I might give that a watch. But also just trying to find any other just behind the scenes stuff like this, anything I can find like that, I've really been wanting to watch, and I've really had an interest in, and have really wanted to add it to my home server that I've been building. So that was actually not the only one that I've watched, and I am definitely going to come back and talk about WCCW at another point down the line. I actually came across, I think it might have been the Fritz von Erich retirement show. And so I might give that a watch and have an episode talking about that. And I think that might be a good way to start talking about WCCW. And I didn't even realize until just now. I kind of went from talking about WCW to WCCW. Whoops. That was completely unintentional. But yeah, that was really interesting, and I think that'll be a really fun watch, especially for me, because I'm not entirely familiar with WCCW, and so having this new company to watch, it's gonna be real fun. But the next documentary that I watched and I want to talk about is actually called WWE Untold. And that is the AJ Styles Royal Rumble debut documentary. And honestly, this was just one of the things that YouTube recommended, and I was kind of curious. I had just finished the Triumph and Tragedy of WCCW, and I was like, you know what? Let's keep it rolling. AJ Styles is one of my personal favorites. He's been one of my personal favorites for 20 years now, and it's actually funny enough that this year marked 20 years since I've started watching AJ Styles. And so, gosh, man, I remember hearing that he debuted in the Rumble back in 2016. And I remember around that time hearing buzz online that he could potentially show up in the Rumble. But I was thinking, nah, there's no way he's going to. Sure enough, he shows up in the Rumble. I hear it at school, and when I get home, I'm thinking, yeah, it's time to get the WWE Network. Y'all remember the WWE Network? We had it all in one wonderful $9.99 package. We had so much. All of the current pay-per-views, all of the older stuff, ECW, WCW, documentaries, just innovative things like Table for Three. Y'all remember Table for Three or Camp WWE? Bro, Camp WWE was funny. Bring that back, please. I loved Camp WWE. That was the funniest shit. I am all for, oh no, I hit my desk again. I'm all for a new season of Camp WWE. I don't know why they stopped that. Y'all are so selfish. Oh, we can't have nice things, huh? We had it all. We had it all with the WWE Network. And now, what do we have? I just want to crash out. I can't even watch the pay-per-views anymore because of whatever stupid ass membership you need to have with ESPN. It doesn't make me want to get that membership to watch it. Like, when I have to do those extra unnecessary steps, by the time I get to it, I don't even want it anymore, man. Just, my hands are up. I'm good. You won. So this AJ Styles documentary, I think it's interesting how in the beginning, and for a good portion of it, they just refer to him as the Phenomenal One. Okay. Interesting. I'm not sure why they do that, but it's kind of weird. So with this documentary, in the beginning, AJ talks about getting into wrestling and watching GCW, which was Georgia Championship Wrestling. I'm pretty sure that eventually became WCW, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that eventually became WCW. But it was really interesting hearing him just talk about his humble beginnings and coming up in the business, talking about WCW and working there right before they were bought out by the Fed, and then eventually jumping ship to TNA and everything he did there, which, as I mentioned before, was where I first saw him. And man, AJ, John Cena, and The Undertaker. If you ask, 6, 7-year-old me, those three were my Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Hell, they're still kind of my Mount Rushmore of wrestling a little bit. Now that could change over the years, but they've held strong for a good long time. And so, man, AJ has just gotten better with time. He really has. And it's funny that the documentary for him popped up, because I have seen recently that AJ has been talking about wanting to retire next year. And man, that sucks. I'm glad he's wanting to retire on his terms. But as a fan, obviously I'm going to say it sucks to see him go. And once AJ goes, damn, all three of my favorites will be retired. And that just kind of makes me sad a little bit. But I'm glad AJ is retiring the way that he wants to. And so the timing of this documentary could not have been better. And so I'm glad I was able to watch it, and I definitely recommend, if you guys have not watched it already. It is called WWE Untold, AJ Styles Royal Rumble debut, as I mentioned before, and so definitely give that a watch if you have not. I think you'll find it really interesting, especially if you like the outside the ring stuff. We have just a few more things that we are going to touch base on here. Just a few more, and then we're going to wrap up with today's episode. I thank you so much for sticking with us if you have made it this far. Now, the next thing, I started watching Heels on Netflix the other day, and I'm not entirely sure what I was expecting, but it wasn't entirely that. Now, I will say, I like it. It's interesting. And I've only watched a handful of episodes, but once I get a little bit further into the show, come next episode, I'll give you guys a little bit more of a conclusive thought on it. But so far, not bad. Not bad. Next up, I want to talk about John Cena's retirement. Last Saturday, he had his retirement match with Gunther at Saturday night's main event. I did not see this match. As I mentioned before, that day I was working DCW Crash Out, Christmas Crash Out. So I have not seen this match yet, but I have seen the closing moments of the match just from the highlights that they've shown on, Raw, SmackDown, whatever. So I saw that. And yeah, that kind of made me emotional a little bit. Not gonna lie, that made me emotional a little bit. I've also seen online that fans were following Gunther after the show and just like saying "fuck you, Gunther" and just like booing him and shit like that. And while I'm sure people appreciate the spirit, that's not cool. Let's not do that. That Let's not do that. That there's a line that doesn't need to be crossed, and so let's not even kind of entertain the idea of potentially crossing over that line. But John Cena now retired. That I'm glad he was able to go out the way that he wanted to. Say what you will about how it was done. If that's the way John wanted it done, so be it. That's just the way that John is, I really think. He wanted to put Gunther over while making his way out. So thank you, John, for such an entertaining career. Hopefully one day, if I end up working in the Fed, what a dream that would be. I get to meet you someday. That'd be pretty fucking sweet, not gonna lie. But yeah, thank you for such a great childhood, granting me such a great childhood wrestling wise, and thank you for all you have done for the WWE and continue to do. And in light of that, I actually want to talk about, because it has been about 20 years now, I want to talk about John Cena's "You Can't See Me" CD, which I actually have right here in my hands. I know you can't see because I don't have a camera or anything, but man, this album slaps, okay? It's got the old spinner WWE Championship. You guys have seen this album plenty of times. If you haven't, just look it up on Google. It's got the spinner WWE Championship on it. They've got some dope ass tracks on it. Sorry if you hear an engine outside. I live in an apartment complex. Sorry. Yeah. This album is fucking fantastic, man. I love some of the tracks on here. Right Now, that's one of my favorites on here. Bad Man, that's a really good one. What else? Flow Easy is a really good track. So, and this is on Spotify. If you guys don't already have the CD or the album or whatever, this is on Spotify. I'm not sure about Apple Music because I've never used it, but I couldn't imagine it wouldn't be. But yeah, if you guys have not heard this album, this is where John Cena's theme song comes from. It's literally the first one on the album, so as soon as you start it up, it'll be the first one. Definitely recommend if you have not already given this a listen. And I'm pretty sure I saw that in light of the 20-year anniversary, WWE is releasing a 20-year anniversary version, I think. I'm going to have to look that up and see if that's true or not. But if not, definitely see if you can track down and maybe get yourself a copy of this. This is a great CD. I think I might do a kind of like a full review for it, a short review talking about the album, talking about just me trying to find this before, because I've had this for a couple years now. I think I actually ordered this in about early 2021. So yeah, I think this one might be a little hard to find, or it might be a little more expensive, maybe. I'm not sure. I would imagine it would go up in value now since John is retired. And since I'm pretty sure that they are doing that 20-year anniversary edition, like I mentioned before, and so this being the original, I would imagine it would get at least a couple more bucks, If not, damn. But hopefully so. Hopefully so. But yeah, get yourself a copy of this album if you can. If not, it is on Spotify, so just give that a listen there. And yeah, the last thing for today's episode I really want to talk about is kind of just a short year in review for me, and just detailing and talking about some of the shows that I've worked on and have gone to. And man, this year has been a busy year. It has been absolutely busy. It's been crazy. Pretty much with the exception of January, I have worked a show every month this year. Sorry, I have a little note that I keep, or try to keep up with all the shows that I worked. I'm trying to pull that up right now. But yeah, with the exception of January of this year, I've been pretty busy. I have been pretty busy. So we started off in February with was it February? I believe that was February. Let me pull up the poster for that, actually. So the first show that I worked this year, I believe, was DCW Meltdown. And I also keep just like a collection of posters of all the shows that I've worked. Reborn was 2024. Oh, okay. Where's Meltdown? I'm gonna have a meltdown if I can't find this picture or this poster. Where are you? Okay, yes. So Meltdown was February. The first show I worked was DCW Meltdown, February 8th. Okay. That took me a second. I'm sorry. I have a lot in here. I have to scroll through this bitch. It's like a Wheel of Fortune. Just between the posters and the jobs that I have listed that I've worked, and just memes and just other shit that I have just saved. I have a couple things I have to go through. So we started the year with Meltdown, and then March was DCW Road to Redemption. April was the first time I worked AML, as I mentioned. And there I worked AML Seize the Moment, and that was such an honor to work, because my first show, I got to be the cameraman for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match, and that slapped ass, bro. Hell yeah. That was fantastic. Thank you to AML for that. I then worked DCW Spin the Block. I think that was in April as well. Next up was DCW Claim the Throne, AML Live to Win, AML Battle Scars, DCW Fight for Glory 3 in August, Wrestle Revival 12 from Firestar in August, AML Talk is Cheap, DCW Bussin' Loose. I laugh every time I see that name. AML Eye for an Eye, DCW Clash at the Crypt, Firestar Full Force. That was Firestar's first show in Durham. That was an honor to work as well. Thank you to Firestar and LeBron Cozone for allowing me to come out and be a part of the ring crew and help out with that as well. It was absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to go back to Firestar. AML the day after at WrestleCade, That was the show that I worked. AML the day after at WrestleCade, and also Ladies Night Out. I believe that was the name that I mentioned before as well. I don't have that one listed here, but I need to add that one. And DCW Christmas Crash Out. So that has been my wrestling year for 2025. And I'm so glad to be done. I'm glad to be done. I can kick back for a little bit. And we are good to go until January 17th, I believe it was, in which DCW will debut in Fuquay Varina. And so that is going to be a fantastic time. Cannot wait to make our way out there and tear it up out there. Stay posted on DCW social platforms to stay involved and keep up with everything. Keep up with AML as well. We will be having Act of War Games 5 January 24th, and that is going to be at the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So if you guys are in the area, come on out. We would love to have you. And that is going to do it for this episode of the Wrestle Ramble. Whew, what a year it has been. 2025 has been action-packed for wrestling for me, and I have loved every single second of it. Thank you to Firestar. Thank you to DCW. Thank you to AML. It has been an absolute honor to work with all of you guys this year, and I look forward to working so many more shows next year and for many years to come. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Happy holidays, safe travels, Happy New Year, and hey, don't have too much eggnog now.